Hey, how's everybody doing today? Just wanted to go live and talk about this. Just want to talk about this 500K challenge going on. It's a little bit late, but had a blast with the kids today. We didn't do much. We just hung out. My wife and Ranger in Fort Worth, and we just hung out and played video games. I worked a little bit, played in the pool, rode bikes out front. It was a good time. Um, but I wanted to talk today a little bit about kind of about who I am, and a lot of you know, some of you don't. A lot of you know that I got into real estate, and I've really found a passion for this real estate, doing real estate, making deals happen. You know, helping people with their houses. Really, that's really what this whole business is about: is helping people and trying to create a little bit of a difference. Right? Sure, there's money involved, and the money is great. It can sustain you, and it can be your own business, and it can be very profitable. But when you help somebody out of a bad situation, it really kind of touches you, right? It makes you feel good, and so that's part of why we do this. But I just want to talk today about kind of where I came from. So my company, Sand Sun Investments, we invest uh, in we invest in properties. We buy homes and we rehab them. We turn around and sell them. So we'll flip them. We'll keep them as vacation rentals or rental properties, or we'll sell them on owner finance to somebody that's looking to get into a property of their own, but doesn't quite have the credit. But anyway, make a long story short, I just want to talk today kind of about where I came from, how I got into this, and what I do. Um, so as a young kid, I joined the Marine Corps at I think I was 18. Obviously, went down to Oakland and enlisted. Moved away from home, and I was a Marine. Right, I was a KC-130 in-flight mechanic. Kind of an interesting story. I wanted to be an Amtracker like my dad. So my dad was an Amtracker. Did 4 tours of Vietnam, uh, and so I wanted to go in and be an Amtracker. So I went down to MEPS. I enlisted. I told them that I wanted to be an Amtracker, and they said, "Well, I don't have a slot, so you got to wait 9 months." I said, "Okay, I'll wait 9 months. I'll come back and I'll get that slot." So waited the 9 months, finished high school, ended up did a little bit of 1 semester at college, and then left for boot camp and got down to Oakland, down to MEPS, and they said, I said, "Hey, I'm here to sign up. I'm ready to go. I'm already enlisted. I'm just waiting for my slot to be an Amtracker." They said, "Well, I don't got any slots. You got to pick something else." I was like, "What?" So I sat there. He's like, I told him, I said, "I just waited 9 months to get this slot, to be an Amtracker." And they're like, "Nope, sorry, I don't got it. You got to pick something else." And I'm like, "What am I going to pick?" Right. So I'm looking through this book, and they got all these different jobs, all these different MOSs. And, and I picked aviation ordnance, right? AO. And went to boot camp, went to MCT and Marine Combat Training. Went to MCT, and at the end of MCT, they're like, "Ochoa, you're whatever it was, whatever the MOS was, 60, whatever." And so shipped off to my A school, Millington, Tennessee, when it was still open, and got to the school there, and they said, we're doing the indoctrination, and they said, "Hey, we got this new MOS. It's 60/30 KC-130 in-flight mechanic. If any of you guys are interested in it, you can, if you have the cutting score, you have the right GT score, then we'll allow you into the program. I was like, hey, that's cool. Raised my hand, asked a question. I said, hey, does that mean, what does that mean? Do I get to fly on the airplane? And they're like, yes, you fly with the airplane, you go wherever it goes. If it breaks down, you fix it. I was like, all right, man, sign me up. I love flying. I love airplanes. I always have been. That's another story for another time. Um, but yeah, so make a long story short, me and several other guys tried out for this program, and 10 of us were selected. Actually, 11 of us were selected. There were 10 slots, and one guy was not chosen. So went through that whole process, and that was pretty fun. Made some good friends, and I went on to be 6011 at my A school, and then 6016, which was C130 engine mechanic, and then of course 6030. So great program. I had a great time. It was a blast. So we did that. Got out of the Marine Corps. Sometimes I kind of kick myself. I probably should have stayed in, but I got out. There were other things that I wanted to do. I wanted to own a business, wanted to go to college, wanted to go to Bible college. I did that. Owned my first business. I owned a painting company while I was in Bible college. That was really neat. Learned a lot. I moved on to do satellite dish installation while I was doing the painting company, and then ended up getting out of college, moving back to California. Did a couple other things. Anyway, make a long story short, I ended up going back into aviation and was working at Triumph Air Repair in Phoenix, and I ended up getting that job because the neighborhood I lived in Chandler, like 5 houses down from me around the corner, was a guy who had a VMGR 352 sticker on the back of his truck, and I was like, hey, that's my squadron. So I made the decision to follow him home, and I pulled up. He pulled in his driveway. I pulled up, in front of his house, and he got out of his truck and was like, "Hey, can I help you?" And I'm like, "Whoa. Hey man, I saw your 352 sticker. I just wanted to introduce myself, and so I'm not trying to be nosy or whatever." And he goes, "What's your name?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Gary Ochoa." And he's like, "Oh, I'm Terrence O'Neill." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" And so he was an engineer that I flew with at 352. So it was really, really a small world. Anyway, he was working at Triumph Air Repair, and I ended up, getting me a job down there, and so I went up, I did that. Was just a document specialist, and then I ended up moving into, tear down and whatnot. And that was really great. Didn't have an AMP license at the time. I moved on from there over to was Aerotech International, and they did the same thing. They repaired APUs, tore down APUs, overhauled them, and we sent them out. Down there, I had I had my own product line, which was great. That was kind of neat. But so that's how I got back into aviation. I was I got laid off there and was kind of looking for some jobs. I did some, like some kind of consulting work at Woodland Aviation, Davis Flight Support. And then I ended up getting picked up, thanks to a good friend of mine, JJ Casanova. Ended up getting picked up by Rolls-Royce and was a tech rep for Rolls-Royce, which is what brought me here to Clovis, New Mexico. So this that job with Rolls-Royce was really kind of interesting, and it was really kind of my first corporate field service job, and I learned a lot during that. Made a couple of mistakes, but hey, everybody, you got to learn somehow, right? So I did that. From there, I ended up going to Sierra Nevada Corporation, worked PC-12s for a little while, and then I went to Lockheed Martin, managed a fleet of PC-12s for them, and then got a great job with a great company, Standard Aero, out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And those guys were great. I was a tech rep to the government of Israel, and managed, 6 C-130s, 28 engines. I don't know, I think we had like 11 props or something like that. So that was really cool. And so on the side, I had started working, I had started getting into real estate really while I was with Rolls-Royce, and tried to figure out how to do it, how to do real estate from afar, right, while being deployed or being overseas and stuff. And that was a little bit of a challenge. Some people had the answers. I wasn't able to put it together very well at the time. Now knowing what I know now, I could do it. And of course, there's some tools out there that you can really use, but at the time, I was having a hard time putting it together. So got this job with Standard Aero. So I've been in aviation. Well, I'm still in aviation now. That was 94 to now, 26 years. So so kind of was in aviation for a long time, and moved in, started trying to, I started doing lease option deals while I was working in aviation. And basically what we would do, a lease option deals, what we would do is we would find a property somebody was trying to get out of, or somebody was trying to sell, or that was sitting on the market for a long time. And instead of, the owner paying, their mortgage every, however long, every month, then what we would do is we'd lease that property out on a lease purchase, and we'd put somebody in that property, and then they would begin to pay the mortgage. So that was really good. And we did a couple of those. We picked up a couple of rentals. That was really neat. And then from there, I was still overseas at the time, and that was when Ranger, my youngest son, when his eye started turning in, his left eye. And so we took him to an optometrist, and they admitted us to the hospital, and that was when we found out that, hey, he had a brain tumor. So, as tough as that was, I stayed in that job as long as I could, and then, we ended up I just couldn't be deployed anymore. So we went to, so instead of being deployed and being overseas, 90 days, or most of the year, we ended up turning my side business, this house leasing thing, into a full-time job, creating a business. And so that was back in 2017. So I called up my buddy. I said, hey man, I'm going to fly you out to San Diego. You and I were going to go to this conference. It's going to be cool. It's called Flip Hacking Live. It's going to be amazing. There's some really great speakers there, and we're going to get involved. And he was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. So that's really how we kind of got into this business. And it took us a little while to get our first deal. It was a little bit stressful, but we had some things to fall back on, but once we got that first deal, man, it was great, because it snowballed, right? So we got the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then next thing you know, we're signing contracts left and right, and making things happen for people. And it was really, really good, helping people out. And so that's what we're doing in our business now, is we are finding properties. In fact, I went to look at a property yesterday. I didn't have any appointments today, which is fine, because I had a lot of paperwork I had to get done, and had to analyze a couple of deals, which was fine. But so, and like I said, we got to spend the day with the kids today, so that was kind of cool, hanging out. but that's what we do in our business. Is so I came from, you know, a military background, and I'm growing this business. It's taking off, and we're looking to grow. We're looking to raise private money this year. If you're somebody that's got ever thought about getting involved in real estate or investing in real estate, I'd love to talk to you. If you know, if you're interested in more about my business or what we do or how we can help you with your retirement accounts, or building retirement funds, whether it's short-term or long-term money, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. You can look us up. You can find us at Sand and Sun Investments, SAND and SUN investments.com. We have a Facebook page. You can look us up at Sand and Sun Investments on Facebook. Or you can give me a call anytime, 866-302-3485. I hope you're having a great evening. Hopefully you're asleep right now and you catch this video tomorrow. But take care. You guys have a great evening.